Hey everyone. So, several members of our community have made it clear that my statement the other day that my studio will not serve DEI or special interest groups has upset them. I figured it'd be a good idea for me to make a video so you can hear my tone and my voice rather than just reading a text kind of response, so that you could hear the genuineness, hopefully. For the past few years, I've watched both online and that would be the gaming and the movie industry, and also from my own experience of working for some very high-profile corporate jobs doing videography behind the scenes as a freelancer, that there has been certainly an endeavor that I would call virtue signaling about diversity. Now, please hear me out before you pass judgment or anything. Just listen what I hopefully can come across correctly. In my opinion, I don't feel that they care about diversity. Most of them don't. Now, I know that there are individuals in these companies and organizations and everything that do genuinely care, that do feel genuinely that this is important, that being concerned about equity and inclusion and making sure everything is fair for everyone is important. I think those people are out there, but I think the people at the tip top, the people who really actually run these organizations, they don't care about you and me. They see us as ATMs that they can make a withdrawal from. Or, to make it even worse, especially in the Western cultures, some of these companies thrive off of us fighting and thrive off of us getting into arguments online because it generates clicks and views and ad revenue. And they would much prefer that than us uniting on what we do have in common. There are plenty of people, I'm sure you've seen this in groups online, where you have people on both sides of the political spectrum who will say something like, oh, you believe something that I don't, so now I'm going to think less of you, or you're stupid. You voted for which candidate? Oh, you're ignorant, you're dumb, you don't know anything, and you should be kicked from this community. We don't need your kind of people here. Now, I've seen this on both sides. Both sides be really aggressive and toxic to each other. And I think it's wrong. I think this in no way betters anything for us at all. We should be seen as individuals, not people who conveniently drop into a red or a blue bucket. And I think we should be striving to be united in what we do share in common rather than mocking or being afraid of or concerned of someone for not seeing the world the same as we do. And I'm not saying that to attack anybody's views. Just in general, I think we shouldn't be just mocking or blocking, attacking, anything just because someone sees things different. I want my studio to be inviting for players who may happen to lean politically right or left. If that offends or if that upsets you, which I hope it doesn't, but if it does, then it's possible that this community isn't for you. I am not wanting to cause further division online. Rather, I want to facilitate an environment where the community is just players joining together with a common interest of revelations, in my case, rather than trying to label people left or right or whatever. And this isn't even touching on the topic of people who are just sick of politics altogether. I'm not, though, going to apologize for saying I'm against DEI groups. I do not have a problem with diversity. I do, however, stand firmly against any insincere, organized effort like what we are seeing predominantly in the video game industry. I feel that by and large, these companies are using the veil of diversity to try and score quick social wins and peacock how accepting they are. Meanwhile, they fail to deliver actually well-developed characters or even a desirable product when it's all said and done, or even a finished product sometimes. But when they send their products over to the Eastern cultures, they have heavily redacted certain characters, altered them heavily, or they change their profile images from the way that they are in the West, or they don't even cover certain topics in the other cultures. If they actually believed what they were doing was morally, ethically right, I feel that they should have included it anyhow. And if their project didn't get shown over there, if their movie didn't get shown over there, oh well, you were doing what you thought was right. We both would probably 100% agree with that. If you think something's right, you do it anyway. You don't change it because you're in another culture. And that's not to demean those other cultures by any stretch. But if over here in the States or in Europe and you think something is right, it should be right around the world, not necessarily just where you are, and then change it when it gets over to somewhere else. I feel that what they want is money. Money is their God, not doing what's right. Years ago, I made certain, because it was important to me, that Revelations was diverse, not only racially, many other ways, and including that female characters, specific ones, just like there would be specific male ones, were properly developed as strong and influential characters, and certainly not as sexual objects. As a thing that I'm thinking of, there was, I think, the very first war mech pilot that I came up with that I actually named for the Core Republic, and this was years ago, was Captain Serena Willow. And she is the equivalent of Char Aznable kind of thing. Not to the dramatic new type level, but in terms of the other side hears that Captain Willow's here, that name is known because of what she's accomplished and how skilled she is. So one of the first ace pilots that I came up with in Revelations was Captain Willow. And I guess switching to being mindful of inclusion and the topic of that, most of you don't know this because I don't really talk about my personal life very often. I try to keep that kind of separate. I have a family member who pretty recently has become wheelchair bound. And over the past few months, I've begun to realize just how difficult, just something small like miniature gaming, how difficult that is for someone with physical challenges. I took for granted what it's like when you're playing and I can stand up and I can see where all the models are across the table and I can make the best tactical decision because I see all of this other information. And it's so different. It never occurred to me how different of an experience it is to play the exact same game and you have to sit the entire time. So what I've been doing is I've been seeking out ways to make the games that I'm developing in the future, such as Revelations Battlefield, to be more inclusive and considerate of people with disabilities, such as Battlefield can be played with either 3D terrain or we're releasing terrain templates. And by doing that, there's no blocking cover, right? There's nothing that hides the models. I could see straight across the field. Yeah, there might be a couple of other models, like the units themselves, that may obstruct a little bit, but by and large, it creates the ability to see across the whole table and to be able to have all that other information that kind of you could have from standing. I know this doesn't cover certain aspects like measuring or moving units that are 3 feet away from you, but I'm trying to put things to be considerate and to be thoughtful of those. And I actually have an idea for an entirely different game where it would be able to be played by someone who is entirely unable to stand. Now, I say this not to get accolades or praise or yay Ricks or anything, but to demonstrate in one way that I am aware of trying to create products that I feel are inclusive to those with disabilities. My heart is not to exclude, but I am going to continue to operate my studio in a way that I feel aligns with my values. If you feel that this runs contrary to yours, I genuinely appreciate whatever support you've given to Revelations, whatever part you've played, and I sincerely wish you all the best. And if things change in the future, please know that you're welcome to come back if you change your mind. Thanks, guys.